is an opportunity for you to practice the 2020 AP Music Theory exam. You will complete 2 questions that are representative of the tests you will see on this year's exam, and you will do that within the time allotted on the actual exam. And then, you know, this is a sample exam. It's not intended to, the questions are not intended to be representative of the content that will be assessed. The content, of course, will be different on the actual AP exam. So before we begin, if you don't have an answer sheet, I'm going to give you 1 minute before I start the timer to go to this address on the right-hand side of your screen, tinyurl.com/AP Music Theory Sample Questions. And on that, you will be able to see answer sheet. Click on that answer sheet and print it off. And I'll wait about 30, 40 minutes, 40 seconds, I should say, not minutes. And then I will start the timer and we'll begin the practice exam. Okay, and of course, also, you could do this on a piece of manuscript paper. You could even draw the grand staff out with a ruler if you wanted to, but the best and easiest way is to just have those answer sheets ready. Okay, if everybody's ready to go, the first thing, of course, is you're going to copy the prompt down on your answer sheet, and then you have that.
Terry,
yes.
Terry, make sure you're sharing your screen. Oh,
I didn't share my screen. Oh man, how do I do that? I'm going to have to end that and go back. Okay. Let's see. I'm not in the right place. Okay, here we go. Thank you. Let's see. I think it's down here. Share my screen. Yes, desktop. Now we're ready to go. Okay, start again. I'm about a minute late.
You're good. We'll just run. We'll let it run so that we don't have to worry about shutting anything down.
Okay, here we go. So I think we're all set. I'll move this down there out of the way. All right, now is everybody ready? Here we go. The timer begins, so start doing your questions. Okay, so now you can see that your time for completing the question 1 is over and the timer has turned red. So this is at the point at which you would take a photo of your answer and then submit it during this 5-minute period. We're going to go ahead and since we can't really do that today, we're going to go ahead and move on to the second question. So I'm going to stop this timer right there. And now I'm going to go on. And so the next question, after you take your photo and everything, would begin right away. And here is the second question. So as soon as you've taken your photo and everything, you would move on to the sight singing questions, or question 2, the sight singing melodies. So here, I'll start the timer for you. 15 minutes to practice and record, and then submit. Oops, if I can, here we go. Now the timer has begun, so begin your practice and recording. Okay, so you can see that the timer has turned red into the final 5 minutes of the exam. You should have your melodies recorded, and this is at the point at which you would submit your melodies, whatever software or app that you're using. You'll need to practice that and figure out how it would record properly and how then you would submit that file depending on what you're using. I'm actually going to talk about that in just a second. There's a slide that I will show you that shows those submit buttons and how that will work. And of course, tomorrow we're going to talk a lot more about this. So I'm going to move on to the next slide for today. And at the top, this talks about what you should maybe use, a smartphone or a tablet. I probably would choose, I'm a Mac person, and so I probably would choose an iPad to do this because it would make the questions a little bit larger, a little bit easier to see maybe. But you could do it on your phone, and certainly then the recording software or app that you would use would be readily available. And I think if you use a tablet or certainly on iPad, the same would be true. If you're going to use a computer, of course, I spoke earlier in one of my lessons last week about using Audacity, a free downloaded software, and that one would be very easy to submit as well. So the first thing before the exam, you want to print or copy out that answer sheet. Hopefully I gave you enough time to do that this morning if you didn't have one. I would print several of those out, and you can download that at cb.org/apexamdaydocs. And there it says, prepare extra answer sheets in case of mistakes, have extra staff paper for scratch work. And you'll have to decide what other documents you might want to have. I think the fewer documents you have, probably the better off you are, so that you can keep your concentration going on writing and not looking things up. Okay, but there may be some, and I'll speak tomorrow about that again. Make sure, second bullet there, make sure you have an audio recording app or audio recording software. I tried Recorder on my iPhone. I tried voice memos. Those work really, really well. Once again, Audacity, if you're using a computer, and that will work on most Macs, maybe not the newest ones, because if you're on Catalina operating system, you have to do a workaround to make Audacity work. So in that case, GarageBand would be better for the Mac. But you need to figure out how you're going to record your sight singing performance of the two melodies, and then see how we're going to submit that. On the exam day, you'll have to copy by hand those portions of question 1 that you saw today on our practice exam onto your answer sheet, and then of course complete the question, the part writing from figure base and the part writing from Roman numerals. Then take a photo of your completed answer sheet, attach it, and click submit before that 5-minute red timer expires for question 1. Taking that photo, I will talk more about that tomorrow, but you really need to line that up carefully so that the entire answer sheet fits in that rectangular space, and so that everything shows up clearly. And I'll show you an example of that tomorrow. Follow the directions to record your melodies then for question 2, pausing when instructed to ensure that both melodies are included in a single audio file. And the accepted file formats are M4A, MP3, WAV, or OGG. And most of those, like Recorder, voice memos, GarageBand, Audacity, most of those you can automatically download or I should say record in those formats, those file formats. So, but you just have to be sure that it's not like an ACC or some other file format that's unacceptable. And then you would attach your file and click submit before the time expires for question 2, before that 5-minute timer runs out. You can certainly always look, and I'm going to show you another slide last today that you might want to pause and maybe write down those addresses. Okay, so submitting your response. It is a 2-step process: attaching or pasting your response and clicking submit. Okay, if you don't click submit before the timer runs out, your response will not count. That is so important. Once you click submit, your response may continue to transfer depending on your bandwidth. So if your bandwidth is strong, it will just transfer right away. If your bandwidth is not so strong, then it's okay, because you can move right on to the next question, even while that first question continues to transfer. As long as you click the submit button, you just have to be sure you click that submit button before the time runs out. If your response continues to transfer after the exam ends, you should wait for an on-screen message confirming that your exam is complete. Make sure your submissions have fully loaded before you close your browser or turn off or restart your computer. So be careful about that. Don't turn anything off. Be sure that you get that on-screen message before you would ever turn anything off. And if you don't ever see that message, your exam is complete, then you should go to cb.org/request makeup, and the makeup is going to be on June 5th, but you would have to explain the situation and request an e-ticket for the June makeup date, and that would be approved. And there are some examples on the right-hand side. You know, you can find the file and attach that and then submit it, and then upload a photo for attached photos like we're going to have, and then, you know, the audio, being able to submit the melodies that you have performed and recorded on one of those audio files. Okay, so this is these are some important links that we've put here for you, and these will tell you everything. Down at number 9, it's going to give you AP Music Theory exam details, but all of those others are important as well, because it talks about getting your e-ticket to take the exam. It tells what you should do in preparation for the exam. There are all kinds of there's great information there for you. And don't forget, you've got to print out or copy out for yourself an answer sheet. Hopefully you have a printer and you could do that, or maybe you could get someone else to print it for you and send it to you. I don't know, whatever you're going to do that, but you need that answer sheet before the exam ever begins. And so if you're going to do this test again on Wednesday with Mrs. Foote, then I would suggest you print out some copies of that answer sheet, or copy the answer sheet down in preparation for the next sample exam. And that's going to be the with Mrs. Foote on Wednesday, and then we'll review on Thursday. So I'm going to be back tomorrow talking about today's test and looking at how you might have created solutions for the part writing, and how you might have done on the sight singing, and how we go through the submissions and all of those things in preparation for the AP test on May 19th. Hopefully this has really given you a chance to experience what that 45 minutes is going to be like. And hopefully you were able to finish the questions. I'll leave this up just for a couple of more minutes, and then you can always go back and review the PowerPoint on, the YouTube video, and see these slides again. So hopefully this helped you today. I will look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Have a great day, and Keep practicing on your sight singing. Keep practicing writing figured bass and Roman numerals.